And sorry to our audience because we are glitching out a lot. But anyways, um, the thing that we were talking about, I think we have talked about pretty much everything. I mean, probably now all of you already know that how to reach out to Chakra Incognita, how to reach out to Maya Lakshmi Rao, how to reach out to your companion if you need one. I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there, you need a companion to walk your path. I mean, gets pretty lonely at times. It's pretty evident. But yeah, so with that being said, uh, just one last thing that I would like to ask you. That is, can you just tell us about uh, if you're conducting any seminars or any webinars in the near future, so that people can reach out even in a more convenient way, or in an easier fashion.
Well, I will announce these in the first place on my
Okay,
channel.
that's yeah, yeah,
I will give
right.
a little a short video saying this workshop is coming up. These are the dates. These are the rates.
Yes, yes. So
Also,
I would request people to just,
yes. I will also
yeah,
put this on Facebook on my own account, which is
yes,
essentially the I use that is my work account, even though people sometimes divert me into playing the fool on that account. Well, it is essentially my work account. It always was a work account, and I would really like to keep the focus on work. So
definitely.
I will, and you would have seen that I do periodically post about this,
Yes,
about the
yes,
ongoing offerings. I will post more on the page. And if you can suggest to me where else to post to get the word around, what is most important is that what I post be shared. If I make a
absolutely.
post on the channel and one person shares it, it's not really helpful. Now, if 10 of my friends share it, regardless of whether it makes a, regardless of whether they immediately feel connected to it or not, a lot of the sharing we do, a lot of musicians, artists, they put up their music, their art, people put up their writing. I read some of it, I go
Hmm.
deep into some of it, but as
Hmm.
far as possible, I share as much of it
Yes,
as is feasible for me. And you would have seen I am a sharer. I share a lot.
yes, you do.
And I especially share, I don't, you see, all our time is limited. So I don't
Yes,
invest a lot of time in sharing from those who already have made a name for themselves because they don't need me. I go on that principle. So if you're
definitely.
already a very popular artist, you don't really need me to boost your popularity.
Yep,
If
true.
you are someone who is so much closer to me in the sense that you are placed, and I don't mean about emotional or personal closeness or friendship or anything, but say you have a young person or even an older person, or sometimes a very old person who is trying to start life again. I try to be there for those people and I try to draw the attention of the public to them as far as possible. So if I feel, I learned this very valuable lesson from Kim. I had taken her shopping to Dokhinapur, and there were some of my favorite sellers there with they all display their wares, they put their wares out there, and mainly, like, she was looking for fabric and various knickknacks, and she was specifically looking for some clothing. And it's like I was saying, see, this guy, he has good stuff. Then she said, no, I will go to this guy. There was this guy, he didn't have a single customer, and he was looking sad and he was looking lonely, and she saw all that in his face, which maybe I was more keen on leading her to the best products. She was trying to get a reasonably good product and also to help someone. So tell me something, Roger, where is your voice? You're inaudible.
Check.
Yeah, you're okay. Check.
Yep.
Done.
Okay.
So, what was I going to say? I think we will keep your voice instead of my face. Anyway, I have a very tired face, and there's no content in my face. I'm speaking. The content is in what I say. So,
Absolutely.
well, to come back to it, she sees somebody who has a pretty good
Mhm.
product, maybe less variety, and who
Mhm.
looks sad and tired and needy. And she sees another person who has very good products and appears to be
Mhm.
having brisk sales.
Okay.
She goes to the one who looks sad and tired and needy.
Hmm.
Now, he may be pulling a long face and looking sad and tired and needy because yesterday he had very good sales and he had exhausted all his stock. And he's really quite bored this morning. That
Might
possibility is
be.
also there. But then
Yes.
look, it is better to be kind than to be right, which is a
Absolutely.
principle I follow. So who would I help? See, I'm
You
doing
would
this in good
definitely help
faith.
them.
For all I know,
Yes.
the man with the sad face may have made he may have made 1 million yesterday. But then we
Absolutely.
also read people well, right? Now, what
Yes.
if there's
That
somebody
comes with
with
experience.
great stuff, a little
Hmm.
unconventional,
Hmm.
and he's not having much sale? And there's another guy next to him who has all the standard stuff, excellent quality, and he looks very upbeat, and he says, come edike ashun, come, I have lovely stuff to show you. And he says, and he has all his prices exhibited, and everything is very clear and crystal clear and black and white. The person next to him looks more artsy, more unconventional, is like less talkative. Now, I would have a kind of curiosity about that person who is not saying that much, who looks a little different, who looks a little strange.
Yeah.
Possibly I
Uh,
identify with that person. Maybe I'm coming through like that person,
yes.
which is
Yes.
why people are sort of scrolling past me, maybe giving me the miss and going to something more relatable. So, what
Something
do
that is
I
more
do?
visible.
What do I do? Maybe I improve my visibility.
Yeah.
Maybe with all the artsy goods I have, I learn to smile a little more, and maybe I
Yes.
showcase those goods. But maybe those goods are very valuable, and they can't really
Definitely.
be hung out on the stand the way more hardy and ordinary goods, more
Yeah.
standardized goods can be hung out. So maybe that is the real reason why everything is not visible.
True
Maybe
that.
that is the real
That's
reason
true.
why. So basically, I appeal to people who have more curiosity. Sri Devi said this about curiosity. And I think one
Yes.
quality we lack because of this constant feeding. We are constantly fed something. We are having far too many inputs, and the loudest input wins. It gets in,
Yeah.
it overtakes the
True.
rest, like the honking vehicle. So, what ends up happening is that maybe the one who is not so loud
Yes.
asks
True.
you to be more curious. And you do have to
Definitely.
be curious, which is why
Yes.
I say the time you take to put out a meme, not one meme, but your 50th meme about Modi or his cows or, his whatever, or about the sheep, the same rant which goes in a loop. Isn't your energy going? Or is that a kind of autopilot? I find that very mystifying to me. That I say, if you can take 5% of that energy out to actually be curious about what I'm saying,
Hmm.
instead of
Yes.
assuming that it is too deep for you to understand, which it is not.
Exactly.
It is not
Exactly.
too deep for you to understand. I assure you, I am actually one of the most relatable people you will find. Talk to me for 5 minutes and you will know. Anybody who has gone to a gig with
Yeah.
me will know how how very
I am the
ordinary I
evidence of
really
it.
am. How very ordinary I really am. I'm just like you. I can get
Yeah,
under your
that's
skin
very
very
true.
fast. I can get
That's
under
very
your
true.
skin faster than a very, posh looking therapist can. And this is no disrespect to the posh looking therapist who puts out a lot of terminology at you, because I'm not going to put out any terminology at you. None whatever. I'm the least technical person I know, despite having done a fairly technical job for several years.
Mm.
Because I have decided to take, I've decided to go the way of intuition, of empathy, and they do require your suspending certain rigid, um, certain rules you see in the book.
Yes.
I may not
Yes.
be following those rules. I may do what I intuitively feel would guide you, even though
Right.
it may not be consistent with what you're programmed into doing. As you know, there are many do's and don'ts you learn when you learn to be a therapist, or when you learn to be a
Right.
doctor for that matter.
Right.
And of course, it's quite another matter that the do's and don'ts today, and I'm being very open about it, are dictated by your bosses who pay the money, who are basically the farmer guys. So you are going to find overall in the mental health, among what you call mental health care, you are going to find a certain amount of the motivation coming from the drug industry.
Yes, definitely.
And I
Definitely.
have seen that many of the people who are having trouble, who are having issues, and I'm speaking from first person experience, are having some of those issues because they have been given multiple drugs.
Yep.
I
They come
spoke to
with
a
side
very
effects.
young person the other day, and that young person,
Mhm.
I'm sure, I think is pretty well known, has a lot of common friends with me. And this very young person was put in therapy and given some very drastic psychiatric drugs that the person was hardly 13 or 14 when this was done to the person. The person has decided to quit the school system, decided to go follow their own track, and I am very hopeful for that person, an immensely talented person.
Definitely. Definitely.
So I think
God bless
I
that
think
person.
following your own track, it takes a bit of courage. Courage takes a person
Definitely does.
standing by you to give you that courage. I have many very difficult things to do in the weeks and months ahead. I keep wishing I had somebody to stand with me and give me the courage to do those things. So I completely empathize with you if you are not finding the courage to take that radical step. Most of our radical steps, as I can tell you from first person experience of my own situation between the age of say 18 and a half and 22, is that we are
Okay.
afraid of we are afraid of creating an emotional turmoil with those whom we view as our source of security, which is very typically either the parents or the children or the spouse or the whoever or the boss or whoever your primary security depends on, depending on how you're placed in life. And I can be open enough to tell you that I had this terrible turmoil with my own parents. I don't hesitate in telling you this, that I was very alienated from them, full of love and totally unable to communicate. We were trying. The only way we stayed together, the only way we sustained this link was that we kept showing one another that we did love one another. And that was the only way we survived this. But there was so much of a struggle. And then I found a friend. I happened to find a friend who showed me, who gave me the confidence, who gave me a lot of. By the time I found that friend, my parents had already come to understand what was bothering me. And basically, what was bothering me was that I needed to break free.
Right.
I could not allow my life to be
Right.
controlled by whatever forces were controlling their life, which maybe they could help, maybe they couldn't help. There was a time when I had to be in
Yes.
charge of my own destiny, whatever the risks.
Absolutely.
And that friend I
Absolutely.
found there, and that friend's mother, made me feel that
Hmm.
the risks are not that big. And how to convince my parents that the risks are really not what they think they are.
Right.
And meeting these two people gave me a lot of courage at that point. Because I
You know,
was
you
able
never
to
know
tell
that
my
meeting
parents,
whom.
I met these lovely people, and
Yes.
they gave me these ideas, and don't you think these ideas are awesome? And even you can meet these people. They're right here in New Alipur, and somewhere then people feel okay. She's not an oddball. There are other oddballs like her. Because you see, what do we fear most for our
Absolutely.
children?
Yes.
That they will be alone in the world. What do we
Hmm.
fear
Yep.
most for ourselves? That we will be alone in the world.
Right.
Alone how? Not understood.
The void, the loneliness, and
Yes, yes.
that's what people are scared of.
And for
Yep.
people like me, I am not bothered about who understands me or who doesn't understand me. I have a lot of self confidence, and I know there are a lot of people who understand me, and that's more than enough for me. I know also that I'm hard to understand. So it's people are only going to understand bits and pieces of me. And that is I give that to them. Every part is me. Every part is part of the whole.
Absolutely.
And these
Absolutely.
parts keep rearranging and shifting. So one day you're going to see that part that you did not understand in a different light and come to understand it. And that's all.
Yeah.
And it's okay
Yep.
if you don't understand it. It's okay if you don't understand many parts of your own self also. And what I
Absolutely.
basically tell you when I hold your hand and take you through this is that it's okay.
Hmm. Yes.
You have been programmed into
Yes.
thinking it's not okay. So, what do I help you deal with? Self judgment. Self analysis is fine. Viewing yourself and understanding yourself is fine. Self judgment becomes limiting, it becomes self sabotaging because you're self judging against some criteria, against some standard. But the reality is, those criteria keep shifting because everything in you is shifting, everything in the universe is shifting.
Yes.
I
Yes.
have said this earlier also when we were chatting.
Yes. It does. It does.
Sometimes these shifts are subtle, sometimes these shifts are radical. When we are
Yes.
resistant to these shifts, we make our life more difficult.
More
Why do
difficult.
I talk of
Yes.
a boat? Why do I talk of Imrama? Why do I talk of the water?
Absolutely.
Because the
Yes.
water helps you there.
Because the water guides you.
Yes, the water guides
Right.
you. Sometimes the water challenges you.
Yes.
And how do you navigate all this? You see the number of times I use a word like navigate.
Yes. A lot.
You get the idea. Now I'm
Hmm.
sure I've
Hmm.
told people what I do.
Yes.
I don't do
Hmm.
anything to you. I don't make you feel you are not a patient. I'm very clear with this.
Yes.
You are not even a client, except that I use that word. Otherwise, people think I am the friendly neighborhood do gooder, which I am not. I reiterate and I reiterate this without any shyness. I have bills to pay. I have to feed
No,
myself.
absolutely.
And you are also
Absolutely.
a troubled person, because in the long run you want to lead a more whole life, which means that somewhere you are also needing, you can't lead a more spiritual life or a more satisfying emotional life unless the material part is in harmony with all this.
Yes. That's
So,
true.
so you see, you are spirit, but you are housed in material or interwoven with material, whatever it is.
Yes.
Regardless that in the higher perspective, maybe that any everything material is ultimately an illusion, and ultimately we are dust unto dust. But between the two phases of dust, we are something that needs to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
That something
Absolutely.
has to be taken care of. And I have that something also which has to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
And this is
And
something I urge you to respect, which is why I
yes,
say, respect my time.
absolutely. People must.
Because if you want my time, then there has to be an energy exchange.
Absolutely.
I'm talking to you
Definitely.
now, I'm feeling hungry. I'm sure you're feeling hungry too, because it is going to be 12 o'clock. And we have
Yeah.
been at this from 7 o'clock in the morning without a thought
Yeah.
for
Can you believe
anything.
it?
And I think we are doing this really because we are so invested in this, in whatever it is we are doing. And I've said this earlier
Exactly.
also, that this is not your day job, and yet you
Yes, this
feel
is
so
not.
passionate about it, that you are investing more in this chat show than in any, maybe than in your gig or your riyaz or your day job or anything. And I mean, why are you doing this? There must be a reason you're doing this.
Yeah.
So if a
I mean,
prospective client could care for me
hmm.
1% of what Roger cares, why 1%, 0.01% of what Roger cares, then I think we could actually get things to work very well, brilliantly.
I mean,
This is all I have to say.
it's exactly.
So, Roger, now
So with
you're,
this,
yeah, with
hmm,
this, we want to wrap up because we are hungry.
yeah, yeah, and I would like people to just, the people who are watching, just keep a tab on her Facebook page, on the YouTube chat shows. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get a lot of information if you're feeling lonely, if you're suffering, you're in need of a companion. There she is. Keep a tab on her Facebook page. Do reach out to her, and yeah,
And remember, she is in need also.
yeah,
It's not a
definitely.
one-way
She is
street. It
also.
is not a
We are,
one-way street.
yeah, definitely. We are all humans. We are
Chakra
all in need of each
incognita is
other.
not God. Whether you believe
Absolutely.
in God or
We're
not, maybe God has no need.
all.
But even God has needs, as you see when we do, like typically in any form of worship, we do cater to God's needs, even though we put much of it into our own stomach.
Absolutely
We see God in our own
correct.
image, or we see our own image in God. That's the whole origin of paid pujo. So when you think, please think about chakra incognita
Yeah,
also
please
as
do.
a person
Please
with
do
needs.
think of each
As
other.
a person with needs, and I'm very clear about this. And Roger, now that we are preaching so much, I would request
Hmm.
you, please put all the chat shows, put all my blog
Hmm.
posts on your Facebook wall. Your wall is public, and don't just put them
Yeah.
there. Take out a little time. I mean, give half an hour less to the chat
Hmm.
show, and take that half an hour out to put
Hmm.
all that stuff on your wall and to tag an army of your friends. Because I can tell you one thing where the gig people really score, coming back to gigs, is in the
Hmm.
massive mass tagging they do. I get around
Yes.
500 tags a day from somebody who has a gig going. So basically, what I have even forgotten the next bill I have to pay, but I have got it completely mugged up. Who has a gig, where, when, who's playing, and how to get the ticket. So you see, if
I would like to
only
connect
you
with that.
are clapping for this, and I thank you for clapping, but now take the clap to your wall. This is your
Absolutely.
homework,
Consider it
Roger.
done.
In the Roger and
Consider
Chakra
it
show,
done.
this is your homework, and I will do anything you want me to do for it. Because
Consider it
there
done.
has to be an energy exchange.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm going to be promoting all your music, so you be careful. You never know who your music is going to reach next. It has already
Yeah.
reached Bath, UK. So it is, you have no idea where else it's going to go.
I hope it goes places, and
It
I
will
hope
go places because I know a number of excellent musicians in different countries. And I think they would appreciate you and appreciate talking to you.
that's a pleasure.
Yes. So let me clap for you without my face. Maybe dare I show my face again before I take leave of the public. And then we shall call
Absolutely.
it a
There
day.
she is.
Here I am.
Okay.
So let us give a big hand to each other
To each other
and to
for
all
five
of
hours
you.
of
And
constant conversation.
I look forward to all of you prospering in life, and I look forward to myself prospering in life.
Yes, exactly.
Here, here,
Exactly.
here we go.
Chalo.
Chalo, off we go. Bye,
Yep.
everyone. Happy Sunday.
Bye bye.
Bye.